Liz says, is there a march or something going on? There is not a march. There is people standing here in George Square to defend the statues from a small group of anti-British haters, basically. John's watching. Jack goes respect. Margaret, brilliant. We need our voices to be heard. Just walk through here just to give you an idea of the crowd, which it's got bigger in the last half hour. And the police have cordoned off that street with their vans. Darren says, well done, keep the peace. Lorraine says, respect to you all. Paul says, well done, lads. Ken says, stay strong. Darren says, well done, Glasgow. Ben says, wish I had been able to come along. Mark says, full respect from Tipton. Cliff, good luck, Glasgow. Mary, thank you guys for saving our heritage. Well, somebody has got to stand up to the Philistines, whether in London or in Glasgow or in any other great British town or city the length and breadth of our islands, where there are thousands of statues that the history haters would take down if only they could, not because they have any reason to do so, but just because they've got problems themselves with their own lives. They seem to just be unhappy people who choose to take out their hatred against society by attacking society. Anyway, everybody here is here to defend what is good and what is right about our nation. And thank goodness we still have men and women who will do that. Just going to move over here to where it's a little bit quieter. Just to get out the way, I'm going to take a seat over here. And there we are. There's Robert Burns. And they'll be wanting to take his statue down as well when they find out that he was for the Union. Be Britain still to Britain true, among ourselves united, for never but by British hands shall British wrongs be righted. And let us not, like snarling curs in wrangling, be divided, as Robert Burns famously said. And when they find that out, they'll probably want to take that down as well, because that's where does it end? That's the point. Where does it all end? When you start picking on something that somebody in the past has said or done. So, leave the statues be. They are our ancestors, they're our forebears. And we stand by them, the good and the bad and the ugly, warts and all, and we stand by them because they are ours. They are ours. And we don't get into arguing about whether somebody is from one perspective or another, good, bad or indifferent, because at the end of the day that often just comes down to a matter of opinion as well. So you might want to get yourself down here if you live in the centre of town. come along, say hello. And stand up for the United Kingdom. Stand up for our forefathers, essentially, who gave us what we have today, and who gave us the right to protest, the right to peaceful demonstration, the right to free speech. The sacrifices of everybody, whether they've got a statue here or not, the men and women who built Glasgow, who built Edinburgh, who built any of those sorts of things, who built our cities, who built our towns, who built Scotland, who built the United Kingdom. It's their sweat and blood, toil and tears, which has given us what we have today, and it's through them that we respect them, through the statues that we put up to them. And we're not for taking statues down, we're for putting up more statues. Put up more statues. If you've got a point of view, name a street or put up a statue to a particular person, and then we can all learn about that person as well, and learn about his or her role in British history. That's what sensible people do. They don't try to tear something down. It's only revolutionaries who try to tear something down because they think they can start anew, but they can't start anew because life is about going on. Sue says, well done. Colin says, stay strong. Trevor says, good speech. United we stand, divided we fall, says Stuart. Derek says, please protect our history. Graham's watching. Hands off the statues, says Norman. Gary, well done from where he stays, says Stave. Good work, guys. Alistair is watching. Stuart says, wish I was there, keep up the great work. Morwina says, respect. Derek says, stand tall, proud of our heritage, history and our statues. Be respectful, as of course we always are. Betty's watching. Darren says, well done. Carson says, no, surrender. Doesn't look like anybody's going to be surrendering today anyway. The battle has Terry, when they take away our history, they also take away our future. That's a very good point, Terry. Carol Ann says, well done. Vicky says, is this in London? No, it's in Glasgow. It's in George Square in the great British city of Glasgow. Paul says, keep everyone safe. Fiona says, God bless you. Craig says, are there many veterans there today? It certainly looks like there's quite a few, Craig. Andy's watching. Yasmin, great job. Love you guys and what you're doing. United we stand. And let me just get Queen Victoria in the background here. There we go. Queen Victoria on a horse. We'll go over to the Robert Peel statue here. This is the man that this is the man that they don't like because he invented the police force, apparently. He was, of course, also Prime Minister of the United Kingdom for 2 terms. And of course he also, maybe they don't like him because he invented the Conservative Party. And maybe I've missed them, but I'm not seeing any Conservative MSPs here today to defend his sacred honour, unfortunately. But you know, if they wanted to, they could do so and they would become well known. People would actually find out who they were. So that's Robert Peel. Robert Peel also, very interestingly, give you a bit of info here, he established the Bank Charter Act of 1844, and what that did was there was a load of private banks at the time and they were creating their own banknotes, essentially creating their own money. And what he did was he stopped, through the Bank Charter Act of 1844, he stopped the private banks from creating their own money and vested the creation of money only in the National Bank, which was certainly a very democratising, indeed socialist thing to do. What he did not, however, foresee was the invention of largely checkbook money and digital money. All right, good to see you. And today, notes and coins, for example, are created by the National Bank of Britain, the British Central Bank, which is misnamed in a sense, but the British Central Bank is how we refer to it, and it has the sole right to create money. However, most money is actually created as digital money by, unfortunately, still the private banking system. Anyway, it was Peel who took away the right of them to create notes and coins. He doesn't get the credit for that he should. But we're giving him some credit right now. What does it say on the back of his statue? Born July 1788 and died in July 1850. Seen a lot of friends here today. As I say, this is not organised by any particular group. It's just a natural rising of folk who I don't recognise this guy here. Alright, alright mate. Just one of the... Alright, how you doing? Yeah, here we go. This is Prince Albert, Victoria's spouse. All quiet in the square at the moment. How you doing? Good to see you. Aye. Thanks. Good stuff. Thanks for coming along today.
Bigger the day as well, so
aye, absolutely.
Suppose that Republicans are.
No.
John.
Oh, well, good stuff. Graham says, stay safe. Thomas, our history is priceless and cenotaphs are our way of paying our respect to the sacrifice these heroes gave for our today. Absolutely. 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 Mark Tucker is watching. Bring them on camera. Wave. Wave. Great turnout, says Russell. Will the media portray us patriots? How will they do it? Well, I don't see any media here today. There's photographers. There's photographers. There's photographers, but there's no There's no television. The thing is, in Scotland we have a media which doesn't like unionism and doesn't, unfortunately, reflect the unionist people properly, and tries to pretend that indeed unionists don't exist. They try to pretend, for example, a Force for Good doesn't exist. They certainly don't ever interview anybody from our team, even though we are actually the premier pro-UK campaigning group in Scotland. So if anything appears in tomorrow's media, you actually might be amazed. There's that sign I was talking about, people make Glasgow. Well, certainly these people here make Glasgow quite literally. And these people defend Glasgow and defend Glasgow's heritage and our precious inheritance that we enjoy today. Ewan, you're full of the BBC. When was the last time, Ewan, that you ever saw the BBC run a programme on unionism or the greatness of the United Kingdom, or spoke to unionists, or did anything like that? It doesn't exist. We know. We would like to think that the BBC supported the union. The BBC should support the union. It is, after all, the national broadcaster, and the nation is Britain. So the BBC should be biased towards unionism, and it should be biased towards supporting the union. There shouldn't be anything wrong with that. That shouldn't seem unseemly to you. That should be the way that it is. However, it's not really the way that it is, unfortunately. The BBC just ignore unionists, and certainly grassroots unionism. They completely ignore it. Steve says the BBC is riddled with Republicans. Very possibly. James, media blackout in Glasgow. Margaret. Darren doesn't agree. Jennifer says the Blackpool Cenotaph's okay. That's good. Well done from Londonderry. Stuart says people make Glasgow and we are the people. Graham. Kate says respect Glasgow. Jennifer says no wonder people are cancelling their licences. Well, I know what you mean. I used to be a really strong supporter of the British Broadcasting Corporation, even when everybody else said, oh no, you should cancel your licences. I was like, no, it's a state broadcaster, it's the national broadcaster. But unfortunately, since 2016, it has not carried itself well in relation to many of the key issues that they should be dealing with, that would properly reflect upon the key concerns of much of the British public. They've been ignored or been misrepresented. So I do wonder about what its future is, to be quite honest with you. Anyway, Colin says the BBC are shameful. Gary says that SNP media will never cover this. Well, certainly SNP TV is not here today and won't give it a mention. They'll just continue the narrative. What I predict is they'll continue the narrative that people are against certain statues, and they'll continue the narrative that slavery statues have to come down, by which we'll have a very broad definition of that, by the way. And then once they've brought down statues of people who may have owned or profited from slaves, then they'll start bringing down statues of people who made politically incorrect comments. And we're seeing that already, for example, throughout the Western world. All statues are being targeted, regardless of whether they're really related to slavery or not. It's just that they're in the past. That's the only thing that upsets the culture destroyers, the history haters. Jeffrey says you're doing the right thing. Well, somebody says, who are you protecting it from? There was a there was a threat made on the statues by a group that they were going to try to attack them today. So that's who we're protecting them from. Just looking at the comments that were coming in there, folks. Just behind me. Barry says hello from the Netherlands. Steve says fantastic city, fantastic patriots. That's absolutely so true. We do have the best British patriots here in Scotland. And you know, we're here to stand up for Scotland and for Britain's moral integrity in the face of nasty and unjust accusations which are being put about British history and about Britain's society today, claiming, for example, that it's discriminatory, which is absolute complete nonsense when you consider that we have plenty of ethnic minorities. For example, in Parliament we have an Asian mayor of London. We have a law and order secretary here in Scotland of Asian descent. So for any of these people to pretend that Britain is discriminatory is absurd on its face, and they should just be brought up on that, and not that sort of stupid attitude should just not be tolerated. That debate should never be engaged. Never be engaged, because once you engage it, as we always say, you've already accepted the premises of your own defeat, and it's just going to be a matter for the rest of your life of you trying to placate increasing accusations, more accusations every day, because as we say, that accusation of racism against a society has no redemption. There is no way you can redeem yourself from it, from your accuser. You can apologise, you can bow down, and you can prostrate yourself, but you'll never be forgiven, and things will just be made worse for you. And then when you're dead, they won't even forgive you, because they'll simply try to tear down your statue. And so there is no point in going down that particular angle. So when somebody says, oh, it's a discriminatory or racist society, you just have to shut them down and say, we're not engaging on those terms of debate anymore, because this is a good country, the people in it are good people, and they're fair people, and we have good law and order, and anybody who really wants to can have a happy and a fulfilling life in this country, and nobody is stopping you from doing that. And how dare anybody put these nasty accusations upon Scotland and upon the United Kingdom. Hang on.